Hi, welcome back to Wallflowers. So, as many of you on the channel already know, we had a new kitchen fitted recently. This is the video about that. So, we were actually away in Bulgaria at the time that it was being delivered, and my good friend Carol was taking care of the delivery. And she phoned me, she said, "We've had some parcels." She said, "But I don't think it's enough." She said, "We've only had about 4 parcels, and these were them." So she sent us some photographs, and it was about 7 o'clock in the morning in Bulgaria. And of course, it was a couple of hours later here, it had gone 9 o'clock. And she said, "Is this all the delivery is, Mary?" She said, "We've only had a couple of pieces." I said, "No, it's going to be a vast amount of boxes, Carol." So they went ahead and they did another delivery. And she's messaging me as they're bringing things along. So this is the cooker. And they're just depositing everything in the living room because, of course, we weren't there. We were on holiday. And Carol's panicking. How are they going to get to sit down when they come in? And gradually you can see the boxes now piling and piling. Because I said to her when the first 4 had come, there should be in excess of 50 to 100 boxes. I said it's a full fitted kitchen. And gradually they started bringing more and more in. And Carol was a little worried. She said, "I don't know how you're going to actually get into your living room." She said, "Because I think the whole room's going to be full by the time they'd finished." So again, they kept piling the boxes in and piling the boxes in. I said, "Well, there's nowhere else for them to go, so you'll have to keep letting them bring them in." And yeah, of course, the whole kitchen was filled. There was literally access to one single chair when we got home. And that was the only bit of space that you can see there that was left, except for the single chair behind the door. The very next day, after we got home from Bulgaria, the workers came, so we were knocked out of bed really early, and the guys come in. And this first part you can see on the last photograph was the pantry being installed. And then, of course, the sink, the washing machine, everything had to be removed. Well, if you can imagine, for 30 years, nothing had been replaced, if not longer. So it was really ugly behind the things that got torn out. And if you can see the ladder through the window and a gentleman's feet, we're actually having the new windows installed on exactly the same day. So a lot of work was taking place this day. The windows just took 1 day, but of course the kitchen fitters were there for just over 2 weeks. And he wasn't happy with the quality of the fitting. So here you can just see the laminate isn't quite in perfect order. And he had me phone the company several times to make some pieces be replaced. And the two guys fitting it, Chris and Peter, were fabulous. They did a wonderful job. They were singing, full of personality, laughing and joking. It was a good time spent with them. The kitchen, I was just shocked to see it in this state. You can just see the pantry taking place at the back, and slowly but surely they start fitting different cupboards up and down on the floor and being between the two of them. It wasn't quite the Chuckle Brothers at some stages, but you can imagine what I'm saying to me, to you. It took a lot of working out. They're not naturally kitchen fitters. Peter generally does bathroom tiling, fitting bathrooms, so it wasn't far off what he normally does, but they did a wonderful job. The whole house was covered in dust. That might just look like one little pile there, you can see now. But if you look closer at the rug, it's absolutely covered. And every inch of the downstairs stairs of the house was covered. Every day I had to vacuum through completely. Here they're working out how to settle the sink down and address the plumbing. You can just see the extractor fan has been placed on the shelf. Peter trying to take the load on the top of his shoulders and head while they fit in that draining board. I'm so happy with the choice we made with the wooden surfaces. They look absolutely beautiful in the kitchen now and totally enhance it. And that pantry in the corner that you can see with all the tools on the shelves, it's such a blessing to have that in the kitchen. You can see the extractor fan hole at the top. and it would have still been quite an eyesore. So luckily Chris climbed up and he placed a piece of wood on there for me later on, and we painted it white. And of course the extractor fan still goes out that hole. This is where the oven would be housed. There were so many tools, there were so many screws that had to go into different units and different parts. And there was tools and pieces. You can just see it coming together here. That was the cafe curtain I chose, and I think the colours all go wonderfully. Here the tiles have still got the pegs in to keep them separate while they dried for a few days. And every choice I'm happy with that was made along the way. There was a lot of waste, but one thing I can actually say is not very much of it at all went to landfill. The local metal guy who comes to take cookers, washing machines and any waste metal came and took it and was really pleased to come and take it. And these units that you can see in the garden and some doors along the way, I actually advertised those on the free site, and nearly every piece was taken. Some people wanted to replace spaces they had at home. Some people wanted to set up storage within their own garages and home. And nearly every piece of the furniture that was removed from the kitchen was taken and somebody else used it in their home. As I say, the cooker and other pieces of metal were taken by the scrap metal man, and there was barely anything that actually ended up in the bin. Over the years, I've actually put different pieces of furniture from different rooms in the kitchen, and this one was used in the kitchen for approximately 12 months. When we had the kitchen done, there was nowhere else in the home to house it, so I popped that on the free site, and a lovely couple came and took it, and they were so appreciative. She was really, really happy, the lady, when her husband carried it to the car. So I just like to look back on different stages of what I've had in the kitchen. So you can see the laminate surface here is totally different. So the surfaces have changed now from black to the wood. And this is me in the process of making dandelion honey. That kitchen sink always came up immaculate for me, but there were a lot of scratches in it. Here you can see where we had the pine cupboards. And I had painted them several different colours over the years, but that's what they originally look like. Here I am doing a spot of canning. That's some vegetables I'm canning. I look like I'm a lot slimmer there. I think I've put more weight on since then. Another stage, I used to have to pull my kitchen table out, and any concoctions I was making or cooking I was making, I used to have to use the kitchen table. Now I have an island. I'm quite lucky. Another piece of furniture I used for a while in the kitchen was this big Welsh dresser that housed a lot of my dry goods. Another stage, I used a smaller Welsh dresser, and I used to create videos in front of that on the table. Again, this is the Welsh dresser I brought in before I utilised it for the dry products. I'd had that for a number of years in the lounge and chose to put it at the kitchen. Here is a piece of furniture. It was a larder, so there were shelves in the top part. I actually ended up selling that and getting my money back on one of the marketplaces. I really did love that mini larder, but the pantry cupboard I have now more than compensates for it. So you can see the old cooker here and the green cupboards. So at this stage I'd painted the cupboards green and put black handles on them. I do miss that cooker though, with the overhead grill. I think in America they're called a broiler. And to make cheese on toast and do different things in that overhead grill was amazing. It's not quite the same in the oven to do cheese on toast. Again, you can see a green cupboard and you can see the blue cupboards. And it took me quite a while to get back and paint that extra cupboard. I'm a lot bigger here. This is when we first moved into the property, and I've still got my pregnancy weight on me. And just family pictures of when our Oscar was younger within the same kitchen. Okay, thank you for coming. Take care. Please remember you're loved, and I'll speak to you soon.